The door doesn't have a handle on the outside. You don't notice that until it closes behind you. By then, the noise hits you. Concrete walls amplifying something between a crowd and an animal, a sound that has no clean word for it. The air is thick. Cigarette smoke, sweat, something metallic underneath it all. The room is 3 levels below a parking garage on the south end of the city, and nothing about it is supposed to exist. A man in a gray jacket looks at you once. He doesn't smile. He doesn't ask your name. "You're late," he says. "Don't be late again. That's your welcome." Level 1, the spectator. You found out about this place the way everyone finds out. Someone trusted you enough to say something they shouldn't have said. A gym contact, a former amateur boxer who stopped competing under circumstances he wouldn't fully explain. He mentioned a location, a time, a number to text. He said if you're curious, go once, just watch. So you text the number. You get a single word back, Saturday, and now you're here. You stand at the back of the room. 40, maybe 50 people press against the walls of what used to be a storage space. In the center, a square of bare concrete with white tape marking the boundaries. No ring, no ropes, no referee in a striped shirt. 2 men inside the square, and the rules, if there are rules, aren't posted anywhere. The fight lasts 4 minutes. 1 man ends it on the floor, not unconscious, but not getting up either. The crowd doesn't roar the way you'd expect. They react the way people react to something they've seen before. Controlled appreciation. Nodding. The man who won walks to the edge of the square. Someone hands him a towel and an envelope. He doesn't open it. He just holds it, chest heaving, and looks at the crowd the way you look at traffic from a window. Present but not engaged. You watch 3 more fights. By the 4th one, you stop flinching. That's the thing they don't tell you. The violence itself is almost secondary. What stays with you on the drive home is the structure underneath it, the quiet coordination, the way money moves between hands without anyone counting it openly, the way the man in the gray jacket seems to know everything happening in a room without looking directly at anything. You text your contact when you get home. "I want to come back." He replies within 40 seconds. "I know." Level 2, the runner. You come back 6 more Saturdays in a row. By the 3rd, the man in the gray jacket knows your face. By the 5th, he lets you stand close to the front. By the 6th, he pulls you aside at the end of the night and asks you a question that sounds casual and isn't. You work days. You tell him yes, office job, 9 to 5, nothing remarkable. He nods like that's useful information. "We need someone for Tuesdays. Moving some things between locations. Nothing heavy, nothing complicated. You be paid in cash at the end of the night. The things you move, it turns out, are equipment. Folding tables, medical supplies, cash lockboxes, the kind of gear that has to be transported between 3 different venues every week because the venues change. The organization never uses the same location twice in a row. This is not a rule someone explained to you. It is simply a pattern you observe and understand without being told. Your Tuesday nights start at 9 and end around 2. You drive a van with a magnetic business logo on the side, a heating and cooling company that you look up once and find as a real website, a phone number, and no employees. You collect $400 per Tuesday. Cash, in an envelope with your first initial on it. You don't ask questions. That's not a rule anyone stated. It's something you understood from the beginning, the same way you understood that the door has no handle on the outside. 3 weeks in, you witness a problem. One of the fighters at a venue in the warehouse district gets into an altercation with a spectator after a match. It escalates faster than anyone expects. The man in the gray jacket, whose name you have learned is Carver, materializes from nowhere and ends it in under 90 seconds. Not with violence. With 3 sentences spoken too quietly for you to hear, and a look that makes the aggressor essentially subtract himself from the situation. You file that away. After the incident, Carver glances at you. You'd stayed where you were during the chaos. You hadn't moved, hadn't panicked, hadn't pulled out your phone. He says nothing. He just nods once. That nod is a promotion. Level 3, the corner man. You have a new role now. On fight nights, you're positioned at the edge of the square. You have a kit, A handle bag with gauze, petroleum jelly, a small suture kit, a bottle of adrenaline solution to close cuts, and 3 types of ice packs. You learn the basics from a video series and a retired cutman from the regional boxing circuit who owed Carver a favor and spent 2 afternoons showing you the mechanics. You're not a doctor. Nobody pretends you are. Your job is to keep fighters functional between rounds. Because some of these matches have rounds now, timed, structured, more formal than your first Saturday suggested. The organization has evolved, or rather, you have moved deep enough into it to see a different version of it than what's shown to first-time spectators. There are tiers of events. The open nights you attend in the beginning are the surface layer, accessible, rough, designed to generate word-of-mouth and identify talent. Below that are invitation-only events with higher caliber fighters and significantly larger wagering. Below that is something else you've heard referenced but not yet seen. You work 6 fighters over the course of a night. You stop a cut above one man's eye with a swab of adrenaline chloride and a minute of focused pressure. You reset another man's dislocated finger between rounds. He barely flinches, which tells you something about pain tolerance that you think about later. You help a fighter who took a body shot so hard he briefly couldn't breathe. You know what to do. You stay calm. Staying calm is the only credential that matters here. You are now making $900 per event, 2 events per week. You've started keeping the money in a separate account. A second checking account you opened at a different bank, which is a thing you did instinctively without anyone telling you to. Your girlfriend notices you're tired on Sunday mornings. You tell her you've been helping out at a gym. That's not entirely false. You convince yourself it isn't a lie. The first moral compromise rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly, dressed as something reasonable. Level 4, the matchmaker's assistant. Carver introduces you to a woman named Sable. Sable runs logistics for a section of the operation you hadn't been aware of, the fighter pipeline. She identifies talent in gyms, in street fights caught on phone video, in small regional circuits where disciplined fighters get paid almost nothing and quietly resent it. She approaches them. She vets them. She manages the process of moving a fighter from the outside world into the organization's ecosystem. Your new job is to help her. You attend gyms in 4 different cities over the span of 6 weeks. You sit in the back during sparring sessions. You watch. You take notes on a plain notepad. Nothing digital. Nothing that can be pulled from a cloud server. You report back to Sable on what you observed. She asks specific questions. How does a fighter respond after absorbing damage? Does he have debt? Family obligations? A record? Does he need money fast or slow? Need determines leverage. Leverage determines terms. You start to understand that the organization isn't just a fight operation. It's a debt architecture. Every fighter inside it owes something. The terms are never written. They're agreed upon verbally in private, and then held in place by a combination of loyalty, fear, and genuine financial dependency. You recruit your first fighter on a Thursday. His name is Marcus. He's 26, trains at a gym in the Industrial East Side, goes home to a 1-bedroom apartment, and a car payment he's 2 months behind on. You buy him dinner. You explain, carefully, how the arrangement works. You tell him it's the cleanest money he'll ever make for something he's already doing for free. He signs nothing. He shows up the following Saturday. He wins in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. When Sable hands you your cut, $600 of the referral, you feel something you hadn't expected. Not guilt, something closer to competence. The satisfaction of having identified something correctly and executed it cleanly. You think about Marcus on the drive home, not with regret, with a beginning of distance. That distance will grow. You don't know that yet. Level 5, the scout. You've been inside the organization for 14 months. You know now that it operates across 7 cities. You know the primary revenue streams. Entry fees, fighter percentages, and wagering, private, unregulated wagering with no external bookmaker, all administered internally through a system that Sable calls a ledger, which is a name for a person, not a book. The ledger is a man in his 50s who does everything from a tablet and remembers the details of every debt ever created in the organization going back 11 years. You have never had a full conversation with the ledger. You understand that you are not meant to. Your role has formalized. You are a scout. You have 4 fighters currently active inside the organization who came through your pipeline. You receive percentage of their earnings on every event, 8%. Marcus alone has generated $44,000 in the last 9 months. Your cut of that is $3,520 on top of your base event fees. You have stopped working your office job. You left 4 months ago, telling your employer you had a family situation that required relocation. You have not relocated. You have simply stopped living in the part of your life that was becoming difficult to maintain alongside this one. Your girlfriend moved out in month 11. The explanation you gave her was inadequate. The real explanation would have required telling her things that you understood by then were not possible to share. You sit with that loss for approximately 2 weeks. Then something closes over it. A door without a handle on the outside. What you have instead is clarity. Purpose. The specific satisfaction of being good at something that operates entirely outside the visible world. At level 5, you know enough to understand the real hierarchy. Above Carver, who is a regional operations coordinator, not a senior figure, as you had initially assumed, is a man referred to only as the architect. You have seen him once, briefly, at a closed event in a converted loft space in the financial district. He's in his late 40s. He wore a jacket that cost more than most people's monthly rent. He spoke to no one directly. People spoke toward him, and he listened. He left before the main event. You are told later that he attends events the way auditors attend businesses. To observe, not to participate. You want to be in the room where he sits. You start working toward that without telling anyone you're working toward it. Level 6, the regional coordinator. Carver moves up. That's how you learn the position is open. Not through an announcement, but through a shift in gravity. Carver begins appearing in contexts you've never seen him in, sitting in on conversations that previously excluded him. The slot below those conversations empties. You step into it. Regional coordinator. It's not a title anyone uses out loud. It's a function. You oversee event operations across 2 cities. You manage a team of 12 people, runners, corner staff, 2 other scouts, a venue coordinator, a man named Dre who handles what gets called dispute resolution, which is a phrase that covers a spectrum of interventions you choose not to examine too precisely. Your weekly responsibilities are dense. You ensure fighters are healthy enough to perform, not for ethical reasons, but because a fighter who can't fight is a revenue problem. You manage the venue rotation, coordinating with the ledger to confirm sites are clean, clear, and accessible. You handle the spectator list, which is now a curated document reviewed weekly. New names require 2 existing member referrals and a verification process that takes between 1 and 3 weeks. The organization has formalized itself around you, or you have formalized yourself around the organization. You're no longer sure which direction the influence flows. You make approximately $28,000 per month. The money is distributed across 4 accounts in 3 states. You own a car under an LLC and an apartment in a building owned by a property management company that owns 17 other properties, 3 of which are connected to organizations you are now aware of and professionally adjacent to. You have power. Functional, real, daily power. You have also, somewhere in the past 6 months, lost the ability to watch a fight the way a person watches a fight. You watch logistics now. You watch vulnerabilities. You watch the crowd for irregularities, not the square for excellence. You don't know when that happened. You know you can't undo it. Level 7, the silent partner. There are 4 people who run this organization at the structural level. The architect is one. You are now one of the other 3. You discovered this by being invited into a meeting, a dinner, technically, at a private room inside an unremarkable Italian restaurant in the Warehouse District, where the 4 of you sat around a table and discussed for 3 hours the expansion of operations into 2 new markets. There were no phones on the table. There were no documents. The entire conversation happened in the room and nowhere else. At this level, you don't coordinate events. You design systems. You make decisions about which markets to enter and which to avoid. You determine fighter compensation structures that keep performers loyal without creating financial obligations the organization can't sustain. You set the protocols that people 12 levels below you follow without understanding where those protocols originated. You also manage risk, which means you manage information. You know which law enforcement agencies have active interest in the organization's activities. You have a single contact, not an asset, not a bribe, or relationship, inside a federal oversight body who provides, through careful and deniable communication, an awareness of where attention is being directed. That contact costs $180,000 per year, paid through a consulting invoice from a firm that does real work in an unrelated sector. The architect tells you once, during one of the rare moments he speaks directly to you, the only thing that ends this is information leaving the room. Everything else is manageable. You think about that constantly. You have become the kind of person who thinks about information the way other people think about money. What it's worth, where it flows, who controls the valve. You are 41 years old. You have not been in a relationship in 3 years. Not because you haven't met people. Because every time a connection begins to deepen, you become aware of the specific and irreversible incompatibility between this life and the kind of presence that intimacy requires. You are powerful. You are precise. You are one of the 4 people who determine how a significant, invisible economy operates across half a dozen cities. You eat dinner alone most nights. You've stopped noticing that. Level 8, the architect. The man you once glimpsed across a room is gone. Not dead. Remove himself. He called it retirement in a message delivered to each of you separately through a chain of intermediaries. He said the organization was stable. He said capable people were in place. He said he was done. You each understood what that meant. Retirement in this world is not a reward. It is a calculation. The architect looked at the risk curve and decided the trajectory of exposure outweighed the remaining returns. He liquidated his interests quietly over 8 months. Before any of you fully realized it was happening. You are not angry about that. You respect it, because now you are the architect. There is no meeting where this is declared. There is no moment of formal ascension. The 3 people around you begin deferring to you in ways that are small enough to be individually meaningless and collectively absolute. The calls come to you first. The problems arrive at your threshold before anyone else's. The decisions that no one else wants to make wait patiently for you. Your daily life looks like nothing. That is the point. You live in a building where you own 2 units, one under your name, one under a corporate entity. You wake at 6. You read. You exercise. You have coffee at the same place 3 mornings a week, not out of habit, but because pattern creates the appearance of a normal life, and a normal life is the best operational cover available. You have 1 meeting per week, a rotation of unremarkable locations. You receive a summary of regional operations every 48 hours through a communication method that has changed 4 times in the past year. You generate conservatively $2.3 million per quarter in organizational revenue. Your personal draw from that is structured to be invisible, distributed across entities, reinvested, layered in ways that required 18 months of architecture to build. No single transaction ever touches you directly. You are untouchable. You are also entirely alone. Not lonely. That's a different word with different weight. Alone in the specific sense that no one around you knows who you are. Not really. The people inside the organization know a function. The people outside it know a performance. The person underneath both of those things, the one who stood at the back of a room 14 years ago, watching a fight with borrowed eyes, that person has become extremely difficult to locate. You think about Marcus sometimes. You recruited him 11 years ago, and he fought for the organization for 6 years. And then one Tuesday he stopped showing up, and you had someone make inquiries and discovered he had moved to another city and was working as a trainer. He got out, quietly, cleanly. You think about what that required of him. The decision, the execution. You think about whether the same door exists for you. It doesn't, not in the same form. You know too much. And the people who benefit from what you know are not the kind of people who allow clean departures. That's not a threat. It's simply physics. The higher the position, the more information you hold, the more your continued cooperation is a structural necessity rather than a personal choice. The illusion of control is a thing you sell to everyone beneath you. The truth is that you are controlled by the machine you built, as completely as the fighter in the square is controlled by the bell. You sit at a window on a Tuesday evening, watching a city that runs partly on your decisions without knowing it. The feeling isn't pride. It isn't guilt. It's the particular silence of having arrived somewhere so far from the beginning that the beginning no longer feels like it belongs to the same life. Maybe it doesn't. Across the city on the south end, in a parking garage 3 levels below street level, a door closes behind someone new. There's no handle on the outside. He's standing at the back of the room, feeling the heat of the crowd, hearing the sound that has no clean word for it. A man in a jacket is watching him from the corner. He thinks he's just watching. He doesn't know he's already inside. He will. They always do.